You were never really a child, were you? You just wore the size of one. While other kids laughed without consequence, you were already scanning faces, reading moods, calculating what version of yourself was safest to show. No one taught you that. Survival did. Maybe it started on an ordinary afternoon when you heard your parents fighting behind a half-closed door. Or maybe the silence was worse, the kind that teaches a child that peace only comes when they behave perfectly. You learned early that comfort had conditions, that love was earned through performance, through grades, through quietness, through making things easier for everyone else. You were the child who kept the house together without being asked, the one who noticed what everyone else ignored. You learned to sense tension like weather, to detect danger in the tone of a sigh, to become the adult before you ever got the chance to be small. And somewhere between helping, hiding, and holding it all together, childhood slipped away. You didn't lose it all at once. It faded quietly, replaced by responsibility and restraint. When other kids complained about bedtime, you were busy worrying if your mother was okay, if your father would come home angry, if tomorrow would feel heavy again. You stopped needing toys, you needed stability, and every time you acted older than your age, people praised you. Such a mature child, they said. They didn't realize maturity was just the polite word for pain. Years later, that habit still runs your life. You check rooms before emotions. You comfort before you're asked. You listen but never speak too loud. And you wonder why exhaustion feels like your default mood. You tell yourself you're strong, but inside you're tired of being the strong one. Because the truth is, you never got to learn how to rest. How could you? You were too busy holding the world up so it wouldn't collapse on you. You didn't grow up. You adapted. There's a difference. Growing up means expanding, becoming more of yourself. Adapting means shrinking, shaping yourself around the chaos of others. So you became responsible, maybe too responsible. You handled everything with composure because you had no other choice. When your friends panicked, you problem-solved. When someone cried, you comforted. When someone needed saving, you were already there. But no one ever turned to you and asked, "Who saves you?" That question still echoes in you, doesn't it? It hides behind every calm smile, every "I'm fine." You learned that showing need is weakness, that depending on others is dangerous. And because you became good at surviving alone, people believed you didn't need anything. They saw independence. They never saw isolation. Sometimes at night, you catch yourself replaying small moments, the times you wanted to be held but weren't, the birthdays where the candles felt more like obligations than wishes. And you realize no one ever came to tell you it's okay to be young, or messy, or unsure, so you buried that softness. You became the parent, the protector, the planner, the one who never falls apart. It worked until it didn't. Because now, even when life is safe, your body doesn't believe it. You still brace for impact that never comes. You still apologize for existing too loudly. You still interpret love as labor. Prove yourself, earn safety, don't relax. That's what happens when a child becomes an adult too early. You keep solving problems that no longer exist. You keep scanning for danger in peaceful rooms. And you confuse silence with safety when it's just loneliness in disguise. You tell yourself you turned out fine. You have control. You handle things. You don't fall apart. But look closer. You've built a life that looks stable on the outside and feels quietly exhausting on the inside. Because every "I've got it" is a small betrayal of the child who never got to say, "I can't." You've become the dependable one, the listener, the calm in the storm. People call you wise beyond your years. But what they're really admiring is trauma wearing a smile. You're so used to holding space for others that your own emotions have nowhere left to live. When someone asks what you want, You pause, not because you're polite, but because you genuinely don't know. You've spent so long existing as everyone else's answer that you forgot how to hear your own voice. You pride yourself on being emotionally aware, yet you struggle to connect. You can read every micro-expression, sense every unspoken tension, but you can't quite feel safe when someone looks at you too kindly. You don't trust softness. It feels like bait. Affection makes you suspicious. Praise makes you flinch, because deep down you remember, love used to mean work, not rest. And so you overperform. You fix, you please, you achieve. You mistake exhaustion for purpose and productivity for peace. Every success feels like a temporary shield against abandonment. If you stop being useful, you fear you'll stop being loved. That's the invisible cost of growing too fast. You become valuable for what you do, not for who you are. But here's the cruel twist. Even when people finally try to love you gently, it feels foreign. Their kindness confuses you. Their stability feels boring. You've built an identity around struggle, so without chaos you feel empty. Peace doesn't feel safe. It feels unfamiliar. You crave calm but don't know how to live in it. You keep busy so you won't have to feel. You joke about being tired, but it's not your schedule. It's your soul. You carry invisible fatigue, not from the day's work, but from years of pretending you're fine. Every night when things finally go quiet, that's when the noise starts. The internal dialogue, the endless replaying of moments you couldn't fix. You try to sleep, but rest feels undeserved. You don't realize it yet, but your nervous system never retired from childhood. It still believes you're responsible for everyone's peace. That's why you feel guilty when you say no, why you apologize for things that aren't your fault. Why you can't let go even when it's safe to. You're not broken, you're conditioned. And the hardest part about healing is admitting that your strength came from pain, not choice. You want to get better, you do. You read the books, watch the self-help videos, tell yourself you're learning boundaries. But healing doesn't come easy to those who never felt safe enough to relax. It's not that you're unwilling, it's that your body doesn't know how to stop bracing. You try to open up, but vulnerability feels like standing in a burning room waiting for the roof to fall, so you retreat. You intellectualize. You analyze feelings instead of feeling them. You can explain your trauma perfectly, like a therapist diagnosing their own wound, but you can't cry for it. You've turned pain into data because data doesn't hurt. And yet, despite all your self-awareness, you still find yourself collapsing in private moments. Sometimes you're washing dishes or scrolling your phone, and out of nowhere, that heaviness returns. The loneliness you never named, the anger you never expressed, the grief for a childhood that still lives somewhere in you, waiting. You keep thinking healing should feel beautiful, but it doesn't. It feels like learning to walk again on legs that never stopped running. You'll resist it at first. You'll get irritated at people who tell you to let go. You'll wonder how to relax when relaxing once got you hurt. And no one tells you that healing often looks like boredom. Long stretches of nothing dramatic, just you sitting with emotions you once buried. You'll want to rush it. You'll want to do healing efficiently. But that's the trap. You're still trying to earn safety through performance. You can't heal with the same energy that built your defense. Healing isn't an achievement, it's a surrender. And surrender feels terrifying for people like you, because to let go means trusting someone, even if that someone is yourself. It means admitting that maybe, for once, you don't have to hold everything together. It means facing the possibility that the person you had to become to survive might not be who you truly are. That realization will break you open, but that's the beginning, not the end. You'll cry over things that happened decades ago as if they just occurred. You'll mourn the moments no one noticed. You'll grieve the child who never got a chance to rest. And slowly, between the tears and the silence, something inside you will whisper, "You made it through." You'll think softness makes you weak, because that's what survival taught you. But softness is what you were before the world asked you to grow up too fast. It's what you've been missing all along. At first, it'll feel wrong. You'll tense up when someone offers help. You'll try to pay them back immediately. You'll struggle to accept love without transaction. But that discomfort is proof you're unlearning the lie that care must be earned. You'll start noticing how you speak to yourself. All those harsh internal monologues, the ones that call you lazy, dramatic, ungrateful, they're echoes of old voices. You'll begin replacing them with words you needed to hear back then. You did enough. You were just a kid. It wasn't your job to fix them. And you'll find moments, small ones, that feel strangely peaceful. You'll look out a window, feel sunlight, and realize the world didn't collapse while you were resting. You'll catch yourself laughing without guilt. You'll spend a day doing nothing productive and not hate yourself for it. That's healing in disguise. But it's fragile. The world will still try to drag you back into performance. Old habits will whisper, "Be useful." Your guilt will tell you, "You owe everyone your best self." Ignore it. You owe yourself your real self, the one who never got a chance to breathe. Softness isn't regression, it's recovery. It's the rebellion of someone who finally decides they deserve peace. You don't have to become a child again, you just have to let that child rest. One day you'll look back and realize that the strongest thing you ever did wasn't surviving. It was allowing yourself to stop. You'll meet that younger version of you in memories and dreams. They'll still be there, quiet, cautious, waiting. You won't need to explain anything. You'll just sit beside them, and maybe for the first time, you'll listen. You'll tell them they don't have to fix anyone anymore, that it's okay to feel small, that the world is safer now because you grew up. But you're here to protect them this time. You'll see the relief in their eyes, and you'll feel something release inside your chest. That constant tension you mistook for strength, that was fear all along, and when you finally breathe without guilt, you'll understand. You didn't fail to recover. You just never had the chance to rest long enough to start. The child who grew up too fast doesn't disappear. They become your compass. They remind you that love isn't control, responsibility isn't identity, and safety doesn't require sacrifice. You'll carry them gently now, not as a burden, but as proof that you survived something you were never built to handle and still managed to love, to give, to try. You won't get closure in a dramatic way. Healing isn't cinematic. It's quiet. It's washing dishes without anxiety. It's answering "I'm fine" and actually meaning it. It's no longer mistaking exhaustion for peace. You'll never be who you were supposed to be, and that's okay. You became who you needed to survive. Now you're becoming who you were meant to be. And that, finally, is recovery.